Yeah, hello everyone. Very good afternoon. How are you all? How's it going? So, how's your weekend going? How was your week overall? Can you please let me know in the chat? All good? Okay. All right. So I think let's get on with this masterclass, right? Which is around exploring career opportunities in generative AI, right? And it has been a thing for, let's say, hype and discussion. I think for the last 2 or 3 years or so. So we're trying to will be trying to get into the meat of it. um all right, so this is what we have in our agenda today, right? So first of all, I want to just briefly tell you about my personal experience. We then want to discuss what is even generative AI. We want to understand the Gen AI roadmap, right? So this is going to be a very important and critical discussion in today's section, masterclass. We're going to also discuss about different career opportunities, right? What kind of job roles which are sort of picking up, right? What kind of new opportunities in the field of AI or machine learning are we seeing? So we were going to discuss all of that, and then at the end we'll be open to doing a Q&A. So if you have any questions, if you want to discuss anything, you can post them in the Q&A section in your chat. And I think, yeah, we'll pick it up from there. Okay, so let's get on with it. Okay, so first let me talk a bit about myself, because I think it's imperative that you sort of also understand, right? So hang on, let me just clear all the frames. Wait a second, just give me a second. This is a copy which I made earlier, right? So I'll just clear all the frames. Okay, we don't have much. All right, great. So, all right. So let me just tell you about my personal experience before we get started, right? So I think most some of you folks might already know me. I'm one of the co-founders at AlmaBetter. I'm primarily an educator, I would say, before even founder and entrepreneur, right? I love teaching students. So I began my career as a data scientist. I worked at companies such as American Express, HSBC, and others. I learned about modeling, machine learning, data science at these companies, and that is how I sort of, let's say, really evolved into this field. And after some time, we decided that hey, we can basically start something called Alma Better, where we can train people in this field, because there is apparently a lot of demand, and we thought that okay, let's go ahead and do that. And of course, as of now, it's a purely online setup, but that is what we have been doing, right? So I entered IIT in 2012, right? So I did something called civil engineering for like 4 years, which I of course didn't end up becoming. But I started my data science journey in 2016. Okay, so this is when I began, right? So till 2020, I worked at different companies. My stack was primarily Python, SQL, machine learning, statistics, a bit of maths, and a lot of, let's say, other bits as well. So I worked for during these 4 years. I worked as a data scientist. Okay, and then in 2020, basically, I co-founded AlmaBetter, and then of course, for the last 4 years, I've been yeah, I've been really actively involved in our company and startup. And uh, and overall, as of now, I'm currently looking into the product and engineering, which goes behind, let's say, building and managing such a platform, right? So we have platform for our users, for our students. We have platform for our coaches, for our internal teams, right? So all that kind of infrastructure is what I am primarily responsible for. And then of course, I spend a lot of time trying to understand the curriculum, how we can improve it. So there is that educator kind of work as well, right? So this is primarily about me. All right. So so I come from data science background, but eventually, of course, I also picked up software engineering. So that is what I have been doing so far. Okay, great. So I think now let's talk about what is generative AI. Okay, so now that is going to be an interesting question, right? So I just want to understand, right, from the folks who are available in this session, right? What do you understand by generative AI, right? So lecture has already started, Ajit. If you're not paying attention, so can someone tell me, like in very simple words, right? What is even generative AI, right? Why is this a thing of discussion, right? Why is this in hype? Can anyone try to basically tell me, right? What is even generative AI? Generative क्या है इसमें? What is generative about it, right? Can anyone tell me? Can anyone tell me? बताओ आप लोग chat में. All right. I'll just wait for like few seconds. So I think some folks are already might know this. I'm just expecting that you can take a simple naive guess at it at least. All right. So what is even generative AI? बताओ. So basically, see, Gen AI refers to Gen AI refers to, let's say, the AI systems that we are developing, right? Or AI models that we are developing, right? Which can help us generate a lot of things, right? Which can help generate some things, right? So what are these things? ये क्या क्या हो सकते हैं? क्या क्या हम लोग जनरेट कर सकते हैं? Okay. I am from not I am non-tech guy. Okay, you're requested to please kindly form. Uh, okay, hang on. Okay, non-tech career option also. Okay, text image. Great, Abhishek Shrivastava. I think yeah. So we can generate text. So basically, let's say if I'm given a sentence, right, I need to predict what is going to be the next word in that sequence or in that sentence, right? That is what we refer to as text generation. So I'm trying to predict the next word, right? And this is what most of the LLMs have been doing so far, right? They are basically next token prediction. So if I given, let's say, certain words, right? So for example, let's imagine, right? So we are given, let's say, these words, right? So for example, in my input, I'm given Gen AI refers to the AI systems which can, right? This is where my input sort of stops. And now if my AI is smart enough, right, it will start predicting the next word as help. So now we have something called Gen AI refers to the AI systems which can help. And then what comes next, right? So it is basically calculating the statistical probability of, let's say, the next token or the next word which should come in the sequence, right? This is what most of these generation is about, right? So we have text. So there is text generation. More or less, I would say that this is a text to text generation. Okay, this is a text to text generation. My input is also a text, and um, then output is also a text, right? So this is a text to text generation. Okay, this is a text to text generation. We also have, so in fact, let's make it okay. So let's write input and also let's write output. Okay, so we have a lot of, let's say, capable generative AI models, right? Today, they just don't only generate text, right? So they have a lot of, let's say, vast other capabilities. So suppose your input is text, your output is also going to be a text, right? So this is a text to text generation model, okay, which is of course what this is, let's say, Chat GPT, right? In the earlier days, but of course it has also evolved, right? We also have something called text to video, right? So if you take example of this text to text, this would be, let's say, your Chat GPT, which you generally use. Of course, Chat GPT also supports files and it can do other kind of things, but primarily it started out as a text to text, right? Now it is of course multimodal, but that's the idea I'm trying to tell you. So this is one example. We have text to video, right? Any example? Anyone know? Anyone knows? Is there any generative AI model which, so if I give in some text, it is going to give me some video, right? So this was released by Sora, was released by OpenAI. Okay, so it's a good text to video model. Okay, so Perplexity is slightly different, right? So Perplexity. uses a mix of AI and let's say search to give you good answers for the thing that you're searching for. Okay, so there goes Sora. We also have, let's say, uh, hang on, who is okay, okay, Adobe Firefly. Okay, I'll give you that. So it is Firefly bhi ho sakta hai. Okay, we also have maybe text to image, right? ये कोई बता सकता है? This is now like popular pretty much everywhere. All right. So text to image, any example? Dali, okay. Dali hai, okay. Mid Journey. I think if you have used Mid Journey, this is what we also have. Text to image, right? So I given some text, right? So I say that generate a picturesque view of, let's say, mountains with river flowing sideways, and it is going to generate, right? In fact, you might have also seen that in your WhatsApp, right? So Meta also released that text to image generation. Okay, so Mid Journey is there, right? They're like Meta AI is also doing the same thing. Okay, so we have text to image, right? We have text to video. We also have other way around. So I am given an image. So if I put in an image, right, my input is an image. It can understand, read the image, right, and give me the output as text. Okay. So this is another kind of modality, right? And this is what I'm basically referring to as, right? This is what we refer as modality, right? So what is the modality of my, so model and model, right? These two are different things, right? Okay. So this model is basically my core system, right? Which is essentially represented by some algorithm, some function. But this model, right, it refers to the modes of the model, right? It refers to the modes. Okay, so the modes in which my model is going to sort of operate, right? So text is one modality, image is one modality, video is, let's say, one modality, sound can be, or audio can be another modality. So the models that we are getting these days, right, we call them multi-model. Okay, not this model, but this model. Okay, we call them multimodal. Okay, so they have multiple modes. That's what I'm trying to tell you, right? So these multimodal models, they have multiple modes, right? So that they are not just primarily or naively text to text generation, right? So now they can also understand images, right? They can also understand video. And if you think about it, right, these data formats is something that we humans understand, right? Image is what I can sort of figure out what is there in this particular image, right? Computers, of course, cannot do that. Computers also, of course, don't understand what a text is, right? They are essentially reducing every piece of data into some numbers. So text is going to be represented via some embedding some numbers, video or audio or even image, right? They're also going to be represented by some tensors, some arrays, and and that is what it is, right? So generative AI refers to the AI systems which can help us generate some things. Maybe I would want to, let's say, generate some text by putting in some text as input. I would want to generate maybe some video, some maybe audio. So there can also be text to audio. So there can be text to audio. So I given some text. Okay, so let's say sing a song about something like this, right? So it's not going to, let's say, write something. It's going to basically utter, and it's not going to be like very difficult. Okay, so this is what generative AI at its core is. Okay, so we are concerned with generating stuff. Okay, we are concerned with generating stuff, and that is what basically. So if you think about it, like today, a lot of, let's say, generative tasks have been very useful. For example, think about coding, right? And you guys want to do coding and programming. um, a lot of, let's say, useful capabilities have come in the coding field, right? Where I can ask AI to write some code, maybe explain some code, get some idea, and can do that, right? I'll just give you some idea, right? So what I'll do, I'll go to, let's say, cursor. Okay, so this is the ID that I am using, right? You can see that this is cursor. This is an AI powered ID, by the way. Okay, so what I'm going to do is maybe open, let's say, some of the some code base which is, let's say, at AlmaBetter that we are using. So for example, let's say there could be some complicated code base that we don't know, right? We are naive. We might be doing programming for the first time, and we don't know what it is. Okay, so let's go ahead and open this, right? There's something called a learn stack, right? I'll just give you a basic idea. What is this even, right? So this is a code base, right, which handles all the logic and the services required on the student side. So students on our platform, they are learning something, they are doing certain activities, and it is our responsibility and our job to make sure that all their activities are completed as expected. They're getting everything, they're getting the certificates, they're getting the points, they're seeing their classes, they're seeing all the completed lectures. Everything should be like up to date, right? That is what a good consumer or a student experience will essentially entail. All right, so I have this some let's say scary looking code base. You can see that I have a lot of, let's say, folders, and this is how, let's say, things more or less uh, look like when you're working on, let's say, or looking at a production level code base. Okay, so this is a production level code base, and of course it has a lot of components. We when we first try to look at it, we might not make sense of it. Okay, we might not make sense of it, right? But AI is here for our rescue. Okay, AI is pretty smart. So what do I have here in cursor, right? In cursor, I can just click on this. You can see on top right, I will also just increase. So you can see on top right, I have something called toggle AI pane. Okay, I'll click on this. I'll click on this. Okay, and what else? So here you can select which models you want to generate or do conversations with, right? And now here is the interesting part. You can chat on let's say in relation to a particular file. You can also chat with your code base. Now this is very interesting. I can chat with code base. I can probably understand whatever that this code base would be about, because let's say I am naive. I'm This is my first time I'm looking at this code base. I have no idea what to interpret and what to even think about it. What am I going to do, right? So I'm going to say here, right? Can you explain, right? I say, can you explain what this code base does? Okay, and also give me an idea. Also give me. So this is what I'm entering a prompt, right? This is what we call as prompting. So I'm trying to prompt my AI to sort of understand what I need, right? So I really need to treat it like a friend, right? जैसे आप दिल की बात बोलते हो ना friend को, that is what you also need to tell to the AI. So that is what we are trying to do. This is called prompting. So I'm saying that, can you explain what this code base does, and also give me an idea how the infrastructure looks like, right? Infrastructure setup looks like, right? This is, I maybe I want to understand how have we even, let's say, set up this, right? So I will click on. So my model is GPT-4o. This is the new model that has that was made available, I think, 36 hours ago, which is O1 Mini, O1 Preview, right? This is a chain of thought reasoning model which was released by OpenAI just a couple of days back, and this has taken the internet by storm. So I will definitely discuss about O1 Mini, but as of now, this is the model that I'm using, GPT-4o. For coding, I would insist that you can use Claude 3 Sonnet or Opus. Claude is a large language model developed by Anthropic. Okay, so Anthropic is again one of the pioneers of pioneers in the LLM and the generative AI field. So as of now, I've already exhausted my free credit, so I am going to resort to GPT-4o. This is also a decent enough model. So let's go ahead and click on chat with code base, right? Let's see what it tells me. Now, this is going to be interesting, right? So it's reading in all the files, it's gathering all the context, right? And then see, the code base appears to be part of an educational platform, right? Likely focused on managing user journeys, course progress, and assessments, right? Pretty much that is what this code base does, right? Because I have that product context, and so that's why I can relate, right? I can verify that this is not just giving me some hocus pocus, but this is actually very tangible, and it really helps me understand, right? So functions with like get LMS course data with tracks from Strapi, are used to fetch detailed course data from Strapi, right? Strapi is what we are using for managing content on our backend, right? Then we have course and lesson progress, assessment and projects, right? So you can see it also highlights functions. We can click on the functions, and I can go ahead and look at these functions as well, right? So of course, this is how we can navigate, right? So let's say if you're joining any new company and you see some scary looking code base, AI is there to for our rescue. You can just pass in, hey, tell me what this code does, right? And it is going to basically tell me, let's say you can see that, so infrastructure setup, right? So it's saying that in backend we are using Strappy, which is a headless CMS. We are using Node.js. Yes, we are not using Python. We are using Node.js. Um, then for database, we're using SQL database. We're using Redis for caching. There are APIs and services. We're using AWS Lambda. So this is correct. Logging and monitoring. So we are also using Sentry for doing monitoring and logging of our errors. And then you can see that there are miscellaneous Google Sheet services, which are also powering some of the data or the activity that we are doing here, right? So this is a very good point to get started with, right? Now I can also do something very interesting, right? So what I can do, I can, let's say, select this particular function, right? I don't know what this function is, if this is aptly written. So I can basically, you can see, I can click on add to chat or edit. So I can click on add to chat, okay? And I can say that, hey, can you refactor this code, or let's say, can you refactor this code and highlight, um, let's say, issues with it, right? And there could be, right? Because on a code base, right, there could be, let's say, some junior developers working, some senior developers working. So there could be some gap in terms of how they solve it, right? And this is what I'm trying to basically see here. Can I improve this function which is written? Of course, this is not a Python function, but the idea still remains the same, right? This is code only, right? So I'm saying that, can you refactor this code and highlight issues with it? Okay. So you can see that it says a refactored code, right? It gives me, and I can also click on apply. Of course, this is not to pro, but the idea is, this is, it gives me, right, issues and improvements. So there are some redundant checks, right, which might have been written by some, let's say, junior developers, some unnecessary object creation. There is inefficient map creation, of course. So I'm not claiming that this is even a production level code base. This is not going to be perfect, right? Because a lot of different people come together and work on it, right? And it's not going to be perfect all the time, right? We are focused on providing functionality and utility. So of course this evolves and gets better with time, where, let's say, someone else who has that bandwidth, they can pick up this task and maybe refactor the code as we need, right? So by refactoring, what I mean, basically rearrange your code so that it looks more readable and the logic is well implemented, it can be well read. Okay. So there are like certain things, right? So this is how, this is what the state of and we can sort of generate very simple apps in like quick seconds, right? And if you want to basically see me, if I can quickly generate, let's say, anything like that, right? So I'll basically, what I'll do, I'll just open a folder. Maybe what I'll do, let's go ahead and create a quick folder. Okay. So what I'll do, um, so I'll just open a folder, right? So let's click on tic tac toe, right? This is something that I developed in like 5 minutes. Today, you can build apps which are like pretty functional, and we can sort of build that. Okay. So I have, of course, you can see that I want to make a cross line. So I did some nudges and improvement. And if you click on go live, right, you can see that this is the game that I was able to develop in 5 minutes, right? So I can do X, I can do zero, I can do X again, I can do zero, I can do X, right? So now player X wins, right? This is a very simple game. I'm not claiming that this is a very fully functional web app, but this is something that we were able to build like within 5 minutes by just giving enough prompt. Of course, we need to know what needs to be done, but the idea is AI makes it very easy. Even if you have not done any programming, if you know any English, if you know even Hindi, आप हिंदी में भी बोल सकते हो, right? So you can, whatever content or prompt that you are given, right, you can also pass that in Hindi. It will also do the same thing. It understands that in a way. Okay. So coding has become very easier. Coding has become very very easy, and we can literally build anything like within 2 3 minutes, right? So I would encourage that you go ahead and sort of, let's say, explore this, right? If you are interested how we can build something like this, I'll just give you a basic idea, right? So what I'll do, so let's say I'll create, so let's say, some test app. Okay. So I'll create a test app, and what I'll do, I'll just open a test app. Okay. So let's just create this. because then only I think you guys. So let's open this test app. I don't have anything here, right? I don't have anything here. Okay. So what I can do, I can go to AI, right? So let's say I want to build. Okay. So hey, can you generate like so HTML, CSS, and JavaScript for a simple front end app, okay, uh, which let's say which replicates YouTube, okay. You can use some dummy data, right? Something like this, right? Let's see. So I'm using GPT-4o, right? Let's see. So I'm saying that can you generate HTML, CSS, and JS for a simple front end app, right? I don't have to do much, right? What do I need to do? I'll just give you a basic idea. I'm going to create a new file called index.html, right? This is an HTML. We are building some front end app, right? I'm just giving an example. This has nothing to do with generative AI, but thing is, we are getting the code from AI. That's important. So I've gotten the HTML code. I will need something called style.css, right? Which is basically, right? So I will call this styles.css, right? This is what is going to add style to my web page. So I'm just going to copy paste this here. So I have this here. And then I have some JavaScript for interactivity, right? So I will call this, let's say, script.js. Okay. So let's save this. Okay. So you can see that I haven't done anything. Now let's go ahead and click on go live, right? So I will just go ahead and go live with the server. So it will open on my local host on some port, right? You can see I didn't have to do much, right? And you can see that I have gotten a very basic, right? Now I can say that, hey, can you add, let's say, navigation on the left? Okay. So I can say, hey, can you add navigation menu on the left? Okay. So I can say, can you add navigation menu? So it says that, hey, you need to update your index.html. Okay. So I'll just copy paste this. Of course, you can apply this, but I'm just going to copy paste this. All right. I also need to update my CSS. There are certain things we don't need to go into the depths of all of this. And let's look at JavaScript, right? So here also I will have the updated code. Okay. So updated code I have. So now you can see now I am getting see some menus. Okay. So I can click on home, I can click on trending. Of course, I have to make them workable as well, right? Are you guys getting this, right? It's very easy today to, let's say, do any sort of programming. This was of course building a simple web app, a front end app. I can also build, write enough prompts and get some idea how to even build the backend, how to even deploy it, whatever that I need. My AI can totally assist with that. So this is of course web development, or in this case I'm just building a simple web page. But you can do this for, let's say, doing any machine learning programming. You can, if you want to build some AI, you can use AI to do that. And this is the power that we have with generative AI today, right? And I just gave you an example of, let's say, one of the biggest impacts which AI is making in our lives is basically improving, let's say, developer creativity. And developers are not just software engineers. There we have all kinds of developers, right? Or people who are into programming. So these can be data science folks, and of course your classic software engineers. These could be data engineers, ML engineers. There could be like tons of folks. And it's very easy to get started with, right? Let's say I don't need this. Maybe I am not. So I can also write a, let's say, write a Python file, right? A Python script to implement, let's say, a GPT-2 like model, right? Very simple. Let's see. So I'm writing, saying write a Python script to implement a GPT like model, right? So you're saying that you need to, let's say, have all of this. So it's very easy to get started. Most important thing in today's date is to is to be aware of what you are doing, right? What is the extra knowledge that you have, right? Because if you just stick to the programming, I only need to be better at programming, you're not going anywhere, right? Because AI is getting really smart and it can do programming, right? So where does your knowledge, or where does your what does it say about your existence? So the idea is you have to not only, let's say, master programming, you you need to be aware of what you are doing, right? How can we use this to better, let's say, get some let's say result. And see, today, in today's date, because of id like Cursor, it has become very easy to let's say write code or do programming. So now it is something which is like very easily commoditized. Now anyone can today, with the help of AI, can write program. So writing software is going to definitely, it is becoming easier, and it is definitely going to become much easier in future. But the important thing is we need to be really understand what we need to build. Are we smart enough to supervise whatever the AI is spitting out? Are we really smart enough? That is what our existence is all about. So we need to really focus on what is the extra thing, right? What is the main thing that I'm going to use AI so that it can give us something. So if your task is to, let's say, build an AI or a machine learning model, I'm not going to obsess about programming, right? Because I know AI can do that programming. I need to understand what kind of problem I need to solve. How am I going to execute that? How is it going to be deployed? How does the infrastructure look like? So there could be a lot of things which would go about, let's say, implementing or putting a machine learning model live in production. So it's not easy. It's not straightforward. So you can go ahead and focus more on that, right? More on the domain, what needs to be done. And then, of course, if you're stuck in programming, you're not finding it easy, you have AI, so you can express and prompt it enough, and it will give you whatever that you want. All right. So I hope everyone is able to understand, right? Does this sound interesting enough to you? Just wondering, does this sound interesting enough, right? So we should be knowing how to use AI to get best outcome in our domain. Pretty much, yes. Right, Bhardwaj? So we don't want to obsess really about, hey, I want to become the best programmer, right? Because AI is already much better than you, right? There's no doubt about it. AI is already much better than you. And because you're just starting, so of course you don't have to worry about it. You have to really understand, how am I going to supervise AI? Because AI is not going to be uncontrolled. It is definitely going to be supervised. It is going to be operating in a constrained environment. And that is what we need to really think about. How do I get the best out of it, right? So, all right, just give me a second. So I talked about generative AI. I gave you one of the best examples, like, which is how to, let's say, do better coding or programming with, let's say, Cursor, right? I would also encourage that you guys can go ahead and download this ID called Cursor, and this is like pretty much pretty fantastic. Okay, all right, let's go ahead. So now, since we understand what is generative AI, we have already taken certain examples, and we can see that how powerful is it, right? So it's really powerful. So now I want to talk about the Gen AI roadmap, right? So I'm going to specifically talk about Gen AI. I'm not going to talk about full stack data science, which is what we primarily provide. But generative AI is also what we are teaching in our specialized modules, in our advanced modules. So you can get an idea from the curriculum. But let's talk about Gen AI roadmap, right? And for that, I have the best resource, right? And you will be M. Labon. Okay, so this guy has curated the best roadmap, I'll tell you, right? And what you need to do is basically, so I'm just going to share this with you in the chat. Okay. So now there are two ways to think about it, right? So how do I even see the roadmap for generative AI, right? And one of the foundational things in generative AI is the idea of LLM, right? Which is large language model. Okay. So now LLM has two kinds of career trajectory in this case, right? If you're really interested in getting into generative AI, there are two kinds of role or opportunities that you can see here, right? One is your core LLM scientist, right? The LLM scientist is focused on building the LLM. It is focused on how to build the best possible LLM so that we can do some task. Okay, so the scientist is concerned about modeling, is concerned about building a particular large language model, right? And you can see the roadmap looks like pretty interesting here. So first of all, if you're looking to get or if you're trying to become an LLM scientist, then we'll need to cover this roadmap. There is another roadmap, right, or another pathway that you can take, and that is what we call as LLM engineer. Okay, so that is an LLM engineer. So now the LLM engineer is not focused on building the model from scratch or building anything like GPT-2 or let's say any other large language model. They are focused on how to build, let's say, applications powered by these LLMs, right? So they are focused on how to build LLMs, right? Or how to build applications powered by these LLMs. So they are focused on the engineering side of thing, right? So how is it going to be integrated to an application or a product? How the infrastructure is going to be like, where I'm going to host my LLM, right? How many requests I'm going to entertain? How many tokens I'm going to generate? Is there any rate limit that I should enforce? So there are like tons of other things. So there are two pathways essentially. One is the scientist, right, which is focused on the core building and modeling of your large language model, right, which is on how do I build or come up with better architecture, right? What's the kind of, let's say, architecture which will help me, let's say, solve certain problems? That is what the LLM scientist cares about. The LLM engineer does not care about what kind of model we want to build. They're focused on, given a model, given an LLM, how can we put this to production which can be integrated with a real time application and it can serve, let's say, a lot of requests. So for example, Meta AI came up with their, I think if you've seen that blue ring on WhatsApp, right? That is their chatbot. So if you're building a model like that, then you would want to, let's say, go ahead and take the path of LLM scientist. But if you want to, if you're concerned about how do I put that model like, let's say, Llama 70B, how do I put that in WhatsApp, and how the infrastructure is going to be, how do I engineer that thing out, then you need to basically learn or follow the path of LLM engineer, right? So I'll give you a very basic idea. I've already shared this with you. You can go ahead and read about it if you're really interested. Um, but the first thing, right, for LLM engineer, oh sorry, LLM scientist, right? Someone who is concerned about or is thinking about how to build even LLM. So the first thing is we need to really understand the architecture of LLMs. Okay, what is the architecture of the LLM? You want to understand about tokenization, right? Then you want to learn about something called attention. You want to learn about something called transformers. You want to learn about text generation, right? This is the foundation, or these are the foundations or the building blocks of the architecture, right? And then because we want to build some LLM, right? So I need to have some data set. So we can also build an instruction data set. Okay. So there is Alpaca like data set. This was released by Facebook or Meta AI. There are like other prompt templates and all. So this is how we can build something called an instruction data set, right? Which is going to give instruction to your, let's say, LLM during training and training time. Then you have something called pre-training models. So how do I, let's say, do pre-training? So you need to set up some data pipeline. You need to know about language modeling. You need to know about scaling laws, right? So this is another very interesting topic, which is scaling laws. And then we have something called high performance computing, right? So of course, let's not worry about it. The whole idea is we want to do something called pre-training, right? So we give it a very huge amount of corpus and training data, and then it can sort of figure out learn the parameters of the model. Okay, then we have something called supervised fine tuning. So once we have done pre-training, we can also do fine tuning via full fine tuning. There is LoRa, which is low rank adapter, QLoRa, which is quantized low rank adapters. So there are like multiple things through which we can do something called fine tuning. Okay, so fine tuning could be useful when you have a general, let's say, LLM, and now you want to make it very specialized, right, very niche. So let's say think of a general, let's say, chat GPT like LLM, or let's say GPT-3 like LLM, but now it should be a very financial expert, right? So we can do something called fine tuning. So we can fine tune it on a lot of, let's say, financial data set, and we can give it a lot of context of that particular domain, so we can fine tune it. Then we have RLHF, right? This is real reinforcement learning by human feedback. This is something which OpenAI came up with. So they're like other bits. We don't need to go into all of this as of now. Then you want to learn about how to evaluate your models. What are different evaluation benchmarks? How do we evaluate? Let's say if you have built an LLM, how do I even evaluate it, right? And then there are certain things like quantization, through which you can sort of reduce the size of the model, right? Because these models have billions of parameters, and if you want to store billions of, let's say, floating point numbers, it's definitely going to take a lot of space and memory. So we can do something called quantization. I would leave it up to you to maybe explore this, but this is basically what you can do to get an idea about what, let's say, how to even think about becoming an LLM scientist, right? Someone who's focused on building these LLMs, right? I'm not saying that you're going to, let's say, build your LLM in your very first job, but this is very interesting to get started with. Okay, so you can read about all the pre-training laws, supervised fine tuning, right? Preference alignment evaluation, quantization. Okay, let's. So now, once I have an LLM, right? So suppose I have built an LLM. How do I make sure that I provide this to maybe tons of users, right? How do I integrate that with my product? And that is where LLM engineering comes into picture. So how do you run LLMs? So you can you can be using some LLM APIs. There would be some open source LLMs, right? Like very you have Llama 70B. So so let's see. So Llama is again one of the open source language models that you can use, right? So you can use this 70B, 405B, right? This is 405 billion. This is magnanimous. This is very huge. So many parameters in this model, right? There is a lightweight parameter model called 70 billion, and then we have ultra lightweight called 8 billion, right? So you can explore this. But how do I get these, let's say, LLMs, let's say, working or running? How do you engineer it out? So how do you run LLMs? This is one of the things you need to focus on. Then because you might have seen, right, in chat gpt, I can go ahead and enter and add a PDF, and then it can basically answer some queries on the basis of that, right? So I can go to chat gpt, right? So I can go to chat gpt, I can attach a particular file. Okay, attach a particular file, maybe, I'm not sure. Let's see, getting started with programming, maybe, let's see, JavaScript under the hood, right? So let's say, so what does this PDF? Okay, unknown error occurred. So maybe, of course, you can attach some file or audio or any image, and it will be able to, let's say, understand the context of it, right? So basically what we can do is convert this uh, into, let's say, vectors, or we can vectorize these files or the data inside them, and then we can have them sort of, let's say, map to the embeddings which are learned by the model, right? So that's how they are going to make sense of any new file which I'm going to add. Additionally, you can build something called a vector storage, where you are, let's say, you have some vector database. That is where you're also storing a lot of, let's say, other extra information, right? It's not something, let's say, which is core of your model, but you're building some vector storage because you want to do maybe some sort of inference, some sort of question answer on the basis of those docs. These docs can be PDF, can be Excel file, it can be images, can be videos. So you can build a vector storage for that. We have something called RAG, which is retrieval augmented generation. So how do I, let's say, extract some data or do some question answer on the on let's say, on a custom file, on a custom PDF, which I was talking about? So this is what RAG workflows are there for. You can do some sort of inference optimization. So how do I make sure that I'm getting faster inference? So when I put in my query, how do I make sure that I'm getting results very fast? So you can do some sort of inference optimization. Then you have something called deploying, right? So you need to host your LLM somewhere, and let's say end users can hit some API endpoint, which will, let's say, trigger the service, and it will basically, let's say, generate text or maybe generate some data for you. Okay, then there is something called securing LLM. So of course, this is a lot of things to comprehend and think of as of now. But this is what I think. You can just get some idea. Even if you have very basic idea, you don't need to master all of these. Even if you have basic idea, I think you are pretty much set, right? You already know more than a lot of other folks. So these are this is the kind of roadmap that I wanted to discuss with you. If you're really interested into generative AI, there are like other things as well. I just want to casually highlight something called stable diffusion. Okay, so stable diffusion is another, let's say, model through which we can generate images. Okay, so DALI uses stable diffusion. So stable diffusion is again another model, and maybe you can read about this, right? So SDXL, maybe denoising, or I will just, okay. So maybe you can go through this particular paper as well, and so this implements something called stable diffusion, right? Which is again another kind of architecture for doing, let's say, something called image generation, right? So this is not your regular LLM, but it is constructed in a different way altogether. All right. So now we understand the roadmap. Okay, and so if you look at career opportunities, right? So we have a lot of, let's say, interesting. So if you look at Gen AI career, or let's say Gen AI jobs. Okay, let's search for that. So these are specifically Gen AI in a lot of companies that you will be doing, let's say, a mixed kind of work, right? So on some project you're doing traditional ML, there could be some project where, let's say, the Gen AI application or use case fits, so using it there. Okay, so but let's take an example. So for example, in this case, I have data engineer Gen AI, right, or data scientist with Gen AI in IBM, lead Gen AI, or let's see, what does this say? So of course, a lot of experience. Maybe let's say Gen AI consultant, right? Again, so you can see what do we have here. So stay updated with the latest advancement in generative AI techniques such as LLMs. Uh, Integrate with relevant APIs. ये बताया ही हमने आपको, right? Utilize vector databases, right? So I talked about vector databases. Similarity search algorithms. So when you're doing machine learning, you're going to learn about similarity search and all. And that's pretty much it, right? So they're not expecting a lot of things, honestly, right? So if you have like some awareness, so I think these jobs can be cracked easily, right? So data scientist plus Gen AI, of course, they're putting in a lot of experience, but maybe they would also be happy to hire someone with, let's say, 1 or 2 years of experience. And you can see that here they're expecting experience with NLP, large language model like BERT, Llama, Lambda, GPT, Palm, DALI, right? Experience with, let's say, cloud services like AWS, then databases. So, of course, all of this you will be understanding, and specifically, if you look at our curriculum, right, at AlmaBetter. So, I'm just going to highlight this once, right? So, hang on. It takes a bit of time to open. Hang on. All right, so I will just go to Masters in Data Science and Artificial Intelligence. So now this should be in a specialization track. So so the generative AI modules are not available to, let's say, the regular 6 months program, because there's so much to unpack here, right? So this is included in our master's degree program in the specialization track, right? So if you see productionization of ML system, this is where we are sort of doing ML engineering. So if you know ML engineering, it can be any simple, let's say, linear regression model or any big LLM, right? The core ideas will remain the same. So you're going to learn productionization of ML systems. And then in deep learning for NLP, you're going to learn about large language modeling. You're also going to learn about deep learning for computer vision. There is advanced learning, so of course, advanced machine learning. There's not exactly generative AI, but most of the stuff you'll find in the module 6. Okay, so So you learn about word embeddings, right? How do we even, let's say, model language. So this is what you'll find in our curriculum, but this is there in the specialization track in our master's degree course. So if you're really fascinated by generative AI, you can or LLMs, so you can probably think about, let's say, doing a master's degree with us. Uh, and um, let's go ahead and look at other, let's say, Gen AI engineer. Okay, so Gen AI engineer. Okay, so I don't even need to, let's say, read all of this, right? This could be like two verbose, so I can then use AI as well, right? So summarize this. So I don't even need to, let's say, the role of senior lead developer, the self, okay, key responsibilities kya kya hai. All right, so using generative AI to solve problems, ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं लिखा है इसमें, ठीक है. Um, let's see. Gen AI solution architect. All right, maybe let's look at data engineer, Gen AI developer. Okay, so data collection and preparation involve cleaning, processing. Okay, design and implement LLM models. This is what I've already talked about. Model evaluation, right? So whenever we are building or doing any sort of modeling, we definitely want to do some sort of evaluation, and that is not something, let's say, it's not there for LLM, right? So if you're building any LLM models or any model, we need to do some sort of strict evaluation. Then deploy LLM models to production. This may involve packaging the model, creating a REST API. So you can use Django, maybe a Django framework in Python to create that, right? Or maybe you can use other stack as well. Okay, LLM engineering talent toppers, right? You can see strong knowledge in developing RAG-based pipelines. I talked about. So LangChain is one of the frameworks for doing retrieval augmented generation, which is RAG. We have you should have knowledge of Azure OpenAI. So just some idea of some cloud platform where you can actually run this, right? Because you're not going to have your own compute resources. So definitely, then they're expecting knowledge of vector DB, chunking, caching layer, embedding, right? So a lot of this. It's not that tough if you actually think about it, right? If you know your core fundamentals, definitely it's not a big deal. Okay, so all right, so this is what I think. There are like a lot of, and if you think about, let's say, very advanced opportunities, right? If you're looking for, like, let's say, really advanced opportunities, what you can actually do, right? You can search for, let's say, something called research scientist, and let's say I will search for, let's say, anthropic. Okay, let's sorry, careers. Okay, I'll just search. Okay, so let's go to Anthropic. Anthropic is one of the leading companies in AI. I'll go to see open roles. So you can see in research, right? Of course, this is an advanced role. This is not something that you might be, let's say, or you might get, let's say, as your first job, right? But this is something that you can think about developing your career into, right? So maybe after 2 3 years of working, you can get into these roles, right? So this is very interesting, right? So let's look at this research scientist London, right? So let's go ahead and apply. Okay, so what it says, so design a new method for automatically red teaming large language models for harmful behavior. This is one problem that companies are looking into, right? So how do you, let's say, make sure that your LLMs are very safe for use? They are not spitting out harmful or abusive language. Create evaluation data sets, compute efficiency of two transformer variants. So there's like a lot of, let's say, interesting thing. And then of course they're also expecting have at least one research project, right, in which you played a major role, right? So it's not easy to get into, but it's not that tough, right? And you can see that they are paying hefty money, right? So they're paying almost like 3 lakh 4 lakh pounds, which is like 3 lakh 4 crore or 3 crores 4 crores in Indian rupees. So it's a lot of money, honestly. It's a lot of money. And I'm not saying that as a fresher you will get this job, but let's say someone who has maybe, let's say, some basic research paper, you can do that, let's say, when you're, let's say, enrolled in a master's degree. So you can write a research project, you can build that rapport in your profile, and after maybe 1 or 2 years, you can definitely eye for these roles, right? So I'm not saying these are for beginners, but you can see that there's so much demand, right? This is not just anthropic, right? This is not just anthropic, right? What I can see, I can do is I will write, let's say, meta AI. Okay, so meta AI में भी होना चाहिए, meta AI भी तो कर रहा research, right? You can see, okay, not logged in, sorry, AI research. So you can see explore. So of course these are like advanced rules. We are not going to focus on them if you're looking for our first job. But if you are interested in this field, right? And you can see that research scientist intern, okay, let's see, research engineer multimodal data. Okay, maybe this could be, let's say, uh, way too difficult for us at this moment. But you can see that they are pretty much expecting the same set of things that we have been discussing, right? So 2 years of experience developing end-to-end ML data pipeline with a focus on data set pre-processing and model benchmarking. Python का idea होना चाहिए. NLP computer vision multimodal speech का idea होना चाहिए. Preferred is PhD degree or some equivalent experience. Master's degree भी है चलेगा आपका. Okay, but the idea is we can actually crack these jobs, right? If we are serious about it. Maybe it's not so easy because there's a lot of competition and so many smart people out there. So it's definitely there is a lot of competition. But if we really want to get into this field, right, I have shown you a lot of different opportunities. So they're like simple low hanging opportunities in like not so very popular big companies, and they're expecting the same kind of work or responsibility. Now you look at research scientist positions or careers in these um, big companies like Meta, Anthropic, Google, right? They're expecting the best of the lot, right? And if you get into these roles, I think it'll definitely going to completely turn around your life, right? It's not easy. You might have to give in like 3 years of your preparation, 2 years, but this is a good pathway to also follow, right? So of course there is traditional machine learning. There are already jobs in traditional machine learning, but the generative AI field is something new, and it has taken the internet by storm, right? And if you really ask me, this technology will unlock productivity like no other technology that I've seen in the last 20 years or so. Okay. So after the internet, I think this is probably the best technology that we have out there. Okay. It's not, it's pretty mind boggling. Okay. So I can do pretty much with this. Um, and there's a lot of, let's say, very useful use cases, right? So because most of our entire human civilization, it it works on us saying one thing to someone else, right? The entire economy, the entire globe is only working because we are able to communicate stuff, right? And these LLMs, these are getting really smart at communicating and understanding, and then maybe doing something extra on top of it. Okay, so just wanted to give you some ideas. Of course, they're like low hanging fruit. They're like really difficult career pathways. But if you're focused on that, hey, I want to build a name in this field of generative AI, it's not going to go away. It's just only the beginning. And we are going to see the next 10 years, 20 years going like crazy. Okay. So these are the, let's say, job roles that I wanted to basically give you an awareness about, right? Maybe this is something that we might not be able to get today, but what about, let's say, 3 years down the line, right? Should be possible. If I know machine learning, if I know these things, right? uh, so I should be able to, right? Maybe there would be, let's say, you might not be shortlisted on the basis of maybe certain requirements or qualifications, but someone would be willing to hire, right? Someone would be willing to hire, right? Someone who has demonstrated industrial expertise, someone who knows this stuff in and out. So why would uh, a company not hire these folks, right? So maybe you can now go ahead and think about how to, let's say, build a career, let's say, in generative AI. But even if you let's say, if we are interested in thinking about generative AI, the first thing that you need to do is master basic machine learning. Okay, so you need to understand basic stats, basic probability, basic maths, basic machine learning. You need to do fundamental Python programming, and then only you can think on top of, let's say, building on top of, let's say, that. Okay, this is not something that I would encourage that you should begin with today. you first understand what is even machine learning, because it's a subfield of machine learning, right? So machine learning field is very huge, and this is a subfield, right, which is of course in the realm of deep learning. So you need to really be aware and be focused on master your fundamentals first, and then we can talk about generative AI, right? Because and we wanted to do this masterclass because see, generative AI has been the talk of the town. Everyone is talking about it, even though most people don't get it honestly, but they're just talking about it, right? Because everyone else is talking about, right? And that gives you some bragging brownie points. But the idea is you need to master your basic machine learning, basic data science, then only I think you can jump onto this ship. All right. So this is what I think I pretty much had in for, let's say, for this master class. If you have questions, you can put them in the Q&A. I think someone from our team can go ahead and take this forward. So just seeing, okay, Krishna, or let's say anyone, Krishna, can you go ahead and take over? All right. So I think this is pretty much what I wanted to discuss from my end. And I hope this was useful, right? Did you guys find this useful? Whatever that we have discussed in today's masterclass? आपको कुछ बेसिक आइडिया लग रहा है कि क्या बोलना चाह रहे हैं, क्या करना चाह रहे हैं? Okay. So if you're getting basic idea, I think that's like enough to get started with, right? So we cannot climb, let's say, skyscrapers with a single leap, with a single jump. We have to carefully yeah, cement our foundations, and then we need to think how do I climb the scraper. Okay, so वैसा I think attitude होना चाहिए. All right, so I can share this with you as well. Let me just, all right, so you can use this Jamboard. We didn't do much here, but we can use this. All right, cool. So team, do we want to, let's say, do any other discussion? Navneet, I think you want to share something.
Yes, definitely. So
Okay,
thanks for
okay,
such a valuable session, sir. I
cool.
would be taking
So,
ahead from here itself.
all right, okay, guys. So I think thank you so much. You had been a fantastic audience. I really love doing all these master classes and doing all these, let's say, healthy discussions. So so you can put in your questions in the Q&A. We'll try to answer there from there. So meanwhile, I think yeah, pretty much. So I'll be leaving now. So thank you so much for joining this. So you Navneet will walk you through the details of our program and our platform. So just stay tuned. And if you have any ideas, you can put them in the Q&A. All right. Okay. Great.
Thank you so much, sir. Hello, guys. Very good afternoon, must say, and a warm and valuable session you had with us. So I would be sharing with you a few pointers, guys, over here in this particular session, so that we can take the discussion ahead. In between that, if you would be having any kind of questions, any doubts, you can also drop that over the chat box, which I am checking it on real time. I believe
Navneet, can
you.
you turn on your camera if possible?
Sure, sure. Having some issues while camera, my
All
image is
right.
not visible.
Okay. I don't think it's visible yet. All right. Okay. Please go ahead.
Sure, sure. Yep. So I will just share my screen right away, guys. Just give me a moment. Yep. I believe it's quite visible to you guys, right? So first of all, very warm welcome to this masterclass event. I hope you guys have enjoyed the session and also got a few generative insights related to the AI domain, particularly. And as this session was taken by one of our co-founder, Mr. Vikas sir. So right now we will be discussing few things about what exactly AlmaBetter is about, right? So about AlmaBetter, let me be very clear and straightforward with you. We are an upskillment platform which is in collaboration with IIT Guwahati and one of the top European university, Wolf. We conduct multiple upskillment programs over here. so that to give a proper roadmap to the candidates who are willing to get into this domain of data science, right? So I also got few of the question over the chat box from Samar, so I would be answering that one on one. Samar, just stick with us. Firstly, let's discuss about like what exactly we do, right? So over here in front of your screen, you would be able to see like we exactly prefer peer to peer learning. Now what exactly this peer to peer learning means? Now suppose you are a candidate, right, who used to be in college. So come back to the college time period or school time period when we used to do a project with, like given by our faculties, right? We used to sit in a group with our friends, or means like, our schoolmates or college mates, right? We used to discuss that thing in a group and learn to know from each other, right? That is what we exactly follow over here. We study in groups to learn and get motivated from each other. When you will be sitting with one on one with your group mates, your batch mates, right? Over there in the particular batch which you are assigned to. So there you would be able to learn new things as well. When it comes to project as well, we also do prefer do projects in teams. So whenever you would be doing the project in teams, basically you will get a clear insight about what exactly is happening. Something which you are not aware of, you will be getting to know new concept behind it from one of your batchmates, right? And same point of time, while interacting among this particular community, you would be eventually getting ready for jobs, which we take this ahead from there onwards once you complete all the modules and accordingly move ahead with the program. Now, why exactly AlmaBetter? So as of now, in today's date, we all are aware of there are multiple platforms, providing this particularly the same thing in the field of data science, right? Now, why exactly to choose AlmaBetter? What exactly happening different over here, right? So the very first thing which we are discussing about is the curriculum. So we always must say, like, if we have a destination to reach, we always need a structured pathway to reach to that particular destination, right? Suppose I am opening Google Map, I am searching for a location. It might show me multiple paths, but it will actually suggest me the path which is easier, right? And the same way, which is taking very lesser amount of time to reach to that particular location. At the end of the day, our motto is to reach to that location in a very easiest manner, right? And in a very comfortable manner. The same way, we also do provide industry relevant curriculum covering topics from basic to advanced level, right? Now, moving ahead, as we all know, live classes are something which is really interactive, actually engages the audience like the way we just had right now. So we do conduct 100 plus live classes with lifetime access to recorded lectures. So there is no revoking in the dashboard, nothing as such. You would be able to access it for lifetime. Moreover, that when it comes to the practicality of the topics you are getting to know, right? Suppose whenever you are understanding something about any new concept, right? Nowadays, industry is mostly focused over the practical zone compared to the theoretical area, right? So suppose whenever you would be applying for a role, you have multiple skills with you, which you mention on the resume. But at the same point of time, the interviewers and recruiters will be mostly, attracted towards your practical portfolio. In the same way, we over here provide you access to 20 plus live caption projects, along with 1,000 plus coding problems and assessments. Moreover, that when it comes to doubts, we always know, like if you are attending a live session like today you have attended, you are asking questions, you are getting the resolution on the same. But what will happen, like when no one is there and live classes are not happening? At that point of time, when you are practicing the things, who will be there to solve your doubts? So basically, over there you would be having a teaching assistant, where like the teaching assistant would be solving your doubts one on one over a video call, along with one on one mentorship session from your personal mentor. 50 plus mock interviews with dedicated career coach. Now, what we exactly mean about this thing over at AlmaBetter, when a candidate exactly completes the program, all the modules and completes all the project, right, step by step, they move ahead with the placement service of our team. Now, as we guarantee the placement, it doesn't mean we are doing some kind of magic over here. It completely depends upon the input in both the ways, right? So I believe you would be agree with me in this point. Like no one can do a thing single-handedly. In both the ways, the things might fall in place so that the results would be coming in our favor, right? That is how exactly when you go step by step, we also do support you in an ample amount so that you can reach to your destination. So 50 plus mock interviews you would be getting with your career coach before entering into the main, interview rounds with our hiring partner companies. And as I told you earlier, 100% job guarantee with 700 plus hiring partners. Top names like Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, Uber, Crate. These are our hiring partners regularly hiring from our placement zone, right? So this is what exactly the highlight pointers that why you should choose AlmaBetter. In the same way, for learning activities, if we talk about, like for technical skills, always we do prefer live lectures, lab experiments, project and assignments, and group discussions. Normally, group discussion is like peer-to-peer community-wise learning. We do always prefer over here. Accordingly, for motivation and industry exposure, you have your personal mentors. You would be getting guest lectures from IIT Guwahati professionals, and as well as the community participation. So as you can see, community and group discussion, these all are the things which is playing an important role on every single step. Now, the third point is mandatory for AlmaX. So, AlmaX we call our career service path, the placement service path, right? So, in AlmaX, what exactly the thing is to reach to that level, you need to complete the capstone project, you need to complete all the modules and the competency challenges, whichever will be coming in your right. Moreover, that as we discussed about the more than 700 plus companies hiring from us, you can see the name right away. Amazon, Uber, Novartis, some of the top names of the product companies who are our empaneled hiring partner over there at AlmaBetter. Same point of time, what are the salary distribution of the AlmaBetter graduates? As you can see on my screen, from 5 to 7, basically minimum 5 is what we guarantee over here. 5 to 7 is the bracket where 19% of the candidates are getting placed. 7 to 8, 29, the most of the candidates are getting placed on the average package of 8 to 9 LP. And there are multiple candidates getting placed over and above that. So this is what the industry in standard competitive packages we are offering over here, not less than 5, and also average revolves around between 8 to 12. That's how we go ahead with it. Now, when it comes to the faculties and mentor, whosoever will be guiding you throughout the program, here you can see that multiple faculties, which is on my screen itself. Rachit Jain, a data scientist at BCG, Ravi Ranjan, data scientist at Publicis Sapient. So all of these are industry working professional. If you will, focus on that. Same point of time, industry working professionals means they are from the industry itself, having ample amount of experience, accordingly to share with you that what is exactly working out in this particular industry. So if you are someone who is looking for a short term or a long term career growth into this particular field, so basically these are the ones who can become your active mentor and faculty to guide you to reach to that particular destination. That is what we believe at all. Now, moreover, like there are multiple, faculties over there in data science domain also in development program which we conduct. And at same point of time, there are multiple success stories as well. Now, I believe there was someone who was asking about that he is coming from a non-technical background, right? Now, there are multiple candidates present in the session today who might be coming from a non-technical background, non-mathematical background, no experience in coding, nothing as such. No need to worry about this thing because we over here get around 50 to 60% of candidates coming with same scenarios, right? And how we are able to place them, you will be able to find it out on this page itself, that from which top companies they are getting hired and how they're upskilling themselves. Moreover, that you would be getting lots of profile when you will visit the LinkedIn page of AlmaBetter. On a daily basis, we are posting the hirings which is going on, right? Now, talking about the dashboard walkthrough, I believe you guys will be excited to know about what exactly the features do we provide in the program which we conduct, right? So just give me a moment. I will be sharing with you the dashboard link so that you can check it out from your side and accordingly log into the particular dashboard which we have. So I believe, yeah, I have shared the link with you guys. You can also open it side by side and check out the features, the structured curriculum which we discussed earlier, that we do provide a structured curriculum, right, to reach to that particular destination which you are targeting for, right? How exactly we do that? Let's focus on this particular discussion part. When you will open this particular link, you will see the home page welcoming you and multiple shortcuts and crisp information. The thing to focus is here, the very first tab, which is the learn option, where you would be able to see the name of the program you are enrolled in, either full stack data science or the data science master's degree program, whatever you are opting for. The data science certification program is of 6 months, 6 modules we cover up over here, right? Now, accordingly, as we discussed in the very initial phase, that someone who is coming from a non-technical background, how they are able to cope up with us in this particular program, right? So we mentioned one thing over there, we start everything from very scratch. You would be getting to know this thing over here itself. The very first module starting with introduction to computer programming. So anyone who is unaware of the stuffs, how exactly the things start with Python, here you will be introduced to the very zero of getting started with Python, where data types in Python, control flow in Python, object-oriented programming in Python, everything is starting from very scratch so that you make yourself comfortable with this Python programming language. Accordingly, when you will go through the modules, you will find some assessments in between to self-analyze yourself, because you are the one who will be taking the charge of your own preparation, right? Same point of time, support will be provided in ample amount, but you also need to analyze whether you are going good or not, right? So that accordingly you can ask your doubts and ask your major developments with your personal mentor. Now here itself, every module will be covering up with an assessment, mid course and an ed course assessment, which will help you analyze whether you are doing good and coping up with the module or not. Accordingly, every module will be coming up with a capstone projects. So moreover that, when you will be going through the particular module, going and deep diving into the technical aspects of it, you would be getting a chance to work on real-time live projects so that you can apply those skills and get a practical knowledge out of it. Every module will be having this practical project associated to it. Moreover that, when we move to module 2, the next step, you will be getting to know about some numerical programming in Python, starting with DSA, data structure algorithms. Now, if you would be having a question in your mind that why should we cover DSA, right? It is not a software development field. But let me be very honest with you. The tier one companies, whosoever is hiring with us, they always do conduct multiple technical rounds on DSA to understand how good you are in dynamic programming, right? No need to worry on this part as well, because we start everything from scratch and we cover up that particular things only, whatever is needed to enter into the industry. Now, next we cover up data wrangling libraries, where you get introduced to the libraries such as pandas and numpy. And also when it comes to data visualization libraries, we cover up matplotlib and cmon, right? Once that is done, you would be moving to databases, where firstly you would be getting started with SQL, standard query language. Then you will be learning some inbuilt function of SQL and how to prepare data using SQL. Complex queries using CT in pivoting, data exploration with SQL and Python. Everything in and out you will come to know about, and also be able to work on a particular project so that you can explore the practical side of it. Now, once the first three modules are done, here onwards, you get introduced to some advanced aspect of the program, where data visualization tools will come into the picture. Firstly, starting with very basic, you would be introduced to data analysis using Excel. You will get to know about fundamentals of Excel, data exploration, storytelling with Excel. Then you will come to know about Tableau ecosystem. So Tableau, one of the tools being utilized by analysts in the industry to visualize the data which they're getting from the databases. Then for business analysis, we also cover a Power BI over here. And accordingly, we assign you projects to work on it. Now, when it comes to module 5, as we all know that maths and statistic is something which is really important for this domain, right? So no need to worry on this thing, because we do not directly jump into statistics. Firstly, we introduce you about maths refresher, where you will come to know about some foundational maths for data science, advanced maths for data science, how exactly maths comes into the picture, make yourself comfortable, and then deep dive into the statistics part, where you get introduced to probability theory, data summarization, concept of confidence, hypothesis testing, all this thing in a single picture. And at the end, as we all know, the most important part, machine learning. So basically, you will be introduced to machine learning mechanisms, supervised, unsupervised machine learning, how to train your machine learning model in a better way, and accordingly the NLP model, which also gets covered up in this particular program. Moreover, that this curriculum has been updated very recently yesterday, where we have included generative AI. It's still not visible in the dashboard, but once you would be enrolling with us, you would be able to access those concepts also. Earlier, the program used to be 6 months. Now it will be 6 to 8 months in total. Basically, when introduced generative AI, the topic of discussion today itself in the master class, we also are including that in the certification program of ours, which got introduced yesterday itself. Now, when you move to the classroom sections, you would be able to see over here what your schedule for upcoming live class. Whatever classes are already completed, you would be able to get feedback to your faculty, get the recordings from here. Normally, we conduct live class 3 days in a week: Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Timings of the live class, as you can see on my screen, is 8 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. 8 to 10, complete topic discussion, 30 minutes additionally for your doubts and resolutions over there, right? Meanwhile, in between the discussions, also we do clear out doubts and all. But if any doubts are still left, we extend it for 30 minutes more. That's how we go on. Now, when it comes to practice part, right? As soon as apart from the assessments, you also need to practice the stuffs which you are going through. Suppose coding problems are there, right? So over here, you would be able to select your skills, whatever skill you want to practice with, according to the companies they are asking. And also you would be able to see the difficulty level over here, and you do not need to download any IDE for it. As you can see, I have clicked on one problem and you can see IDE is just popping up over here. So Google Colab is here, and externally you do not need to do anything. Internally everything is assigned over here, and as you can see, the questions being asked in multiple companies will be showcased over here. Moreover, that company wise coding assessments, you would be able to see accordingly the companies you are interviewing with at the time of placements. You can practice that right away because these are the patterns which they go on with, right? Projects, if I talk about the most important aspect of our program, that whenever you are completing a particular module, project is something which needs to be worked on, right? So as you can see, module wise projects would be assigned to you. The very first module having a project, databases having a project, data visualization tools will be having a transforming EDS to dashboard project. Then also when it comes to machine learning, you would be getting real time data sets to work on, where as you can see, time series forecasting, FBI's crime investigation, Tata Steel machine failure prediction, Flipkart's customer service satisfaction. End-to-end machine learning projects would be assigned to you with real-time data sets, so that whatever skill sets you are gaining from the program, you would be able to work on it. When it comes to numerical programming in Python, there are also multiple projects we assign you. FedEx Logistics Performance Analysis project, Paisa Bazaar Banking Fraud Analysis project, right? So there are multiple analyst roles in the industry right now opened up. Whatever you are interested in, your target would be that project only, whatever roles you are targeting for. Under the guidance of your mentor will be suggesting you what exactly you need to work on, right? Once, basically, like, we have a question: what about those who have already enrolled in the data science elite batch? Are we going to get updated course material like Gen AI? Definitely you will be getting that. So basically we are adding it up, we are on the process to add it up over here in your dashboard. So as you guys might have got an update that yesterday only this thing has been introduced, everything has been updated. So slowly and gradually we are updating it up. So you would be expecting it to come in your particular dashboard. Now when it comes to, like, the placement guarantee or the placement assurance, right? So there is also a condition related to it. So those who are expecting placement assurance, firstly the very first condition is to complete the foundation track. So you need to complete this foundation track 0 to 100 according to the chapters and modules you would be going through and according to the projects you would be completing. Screen is not visible to you guys, just give me a moment. Is my screen visible now? What about who have enrolled in Iconic batch? Yes, definitely. You would be getting GNIA included in that. No issues on that. Who have already enrolled in data science. Definitely. If you are already enrolled, you would be getting all the concepts updated in your dashboard, and according the classes will go on. No need to worry on that part. Moreover, that my screen is visible right now, guys. Yes, no, maybe. If you can confirm it on the chat box. Like someone mentioned that screen is not visible. If anyone can come up and mention that if the screen is visible to you or not. It's visible now, right? Great. Thanks for the confirmation, Samar. Yes. So talking about the foundation track, as soon as the module wise you will go through one by one module, you would be completing projects, you would be covering up, your progress will go up. Once you reach the 100% progress, it means the first condition is done. First condition is done and dusted. Then the second condition will come into the picture is the AB CAT test, which we call as AlmaBetter Comprehensive Assessment Test. Now, this test is very much compulsory to clear to enter into the placement assurance program of ours, which we call as AlmaX, right? So basically, in this test, nothing tough we are asking for, a very basic requirement, which is 60% minimum passing criteria with 5 multiple attempts, right? 5 attempts in total, and basic 60% is a requirement. So once you will clear this test, you would be entering into our placement service, the career service program, which we call as AlmaX, right? In the AlmaX program, you would be handed over to a team of recruiter, our placement cell, who would be taking care of your portfolio creation, then your pre-interview preparation and mock interview alignment, and after that you get a when you get a real-time feedback appearing for the interview preparation on all the rounds, your interview will be starting to getting aligned with our hiring partner companies, whosoever is hiring with us, right? When it comes to mentorship, you would be able to book a session with your personal mentor from here itself, and accordingly like interact with your mentor, discuss your roadmap, discuss with your requirements. Accordingly your mentor will guide you regarding that. When it comes to doubt resolution, from here the live support option is available, through which you will be getting teaching assistant available to help you out with your doubts at the time when live classes are not going on from Monday to Saturday every day, right? Now, basically, we also do provide an external job board in your dashboard, right? Through which you can actually assess and analyze what all are the job roles available in the market nowadays from the companies getting posted on daily basis. So from here itself, you can get an idea and also get a job description and apply from here itself while upskilling in the program also. Now, if your interview gets aligned with any one of these companies present over here, your mentor will be there to guide you step by step through that particular interview rounds and will be helping you to crack it. Otherwise, like our placement services are there to help you out with the job assurance. Any timeline to complete all these things? Mostly what happens like 6 months, 6 to 8 months. Now generative AI is being introduced, so the program timeline got extended. 6 to 8 months is the usual timeline to complete the program. But if anyone is unable to complete in that timeline, 6 months of deadline extension is always being provided. As simple as that. So for to complete a program of 6 months, we have a time of 1 year to complete. That is it. Now, further extension is not provided. Only that 6 month extension of deadline is there with the program, right? So I believe this dashboard walkthrough is clear to you guys, and you got a fair idea over here. And moreover, that once you get enrolled in the program, as we all know, we do have also refer and earn option. You will be able to refer your known person. Once your known person refers, enrolls under your referral link, you would be getting referral bonus as well over here, which you can avail it directly to your bank account. Means like it's a monetary kind of referrals of bonus you will be getting over here, and accordingly you can opt for it and go ahead with that. Any questions, any doubt till now, guys? Or the dashboard walkthrough was clear with you? Any particular question, any particular doubt, do let me know in the chat box. Or shall we move to the next topic of discussion particularly? I believe my screen is visible now. In fact, my camera is visible now. Any doubt, guys? Good. I believe there are no further doubts. So we will be moving ahead with a specialized thing which we call as a discount coupon code, right? So basically, to get enrolled in our program, right now the fee structure and everything has been updated. If you want to enroll in the iconic IIT Guwahati program, the fee structure you would be able to see on the website is 75,000 plus GST, making it 88,500. You can utilize the coupon code MANG20. Accordingly, like you would be getting a 20% of discount, which is available for a limited number of users only, not for everyone. So depends upon the timeline you are going ahead with it. Now, when it comes to the premium program, we have two programs in data science. One is iconic and one is premium. Let me show you that thing as well. Just give me a moment. Yes, I believe my screen is visible to the home page of the website. So if you will go ahead with this, so you would be able to see the program fees over here itself, where you can see the tuition fees coming into the picture. One is premium, one is iconic, right? Premium program is something where we are providing the certification in collaboration with Microsoft. Iconic program is something where we are providing certification in collaboration with IIT Guwahati, right? Both the program have the same curriculum with generative AI, right? 6 to 8 months, but has their own additional benefit. Now, suppose if you are enrolled with the iconic program, you would be getting some guest lectures from IIT Guwahati professors. Additionally, you would be getting a 2 days of campus visit allowance to IIT Guwahati and an advanced certification officially assigned from IIT Guwahati itself, right? Moreover, that if you enroll in the premium program, you would be getting your certification assigned from Microsoft, and also you would be getting a Microsoft applied Gen Z, test or competitive exam which they conduct for free, which they charge around something like thousands of rupees, right? That will you will be getting for free to appear for that examination, right? So the fee structure is already mentioned here. This is the tuition fees of the program, which you need to pay upfrontly. If you're enrolling with the premium Microsoft certification program, the tuition fees is 50,000 rupees plus GST, making it 59,000. If you're enrolling with the iconic IIT Guwahati program, the tuition fees is 75,000 rupees plus 18% GST, which is 88,500. Moreover, that career service fees is also associated with it. So once you get placed through our career service program, the career service fees needs to be paid after placement, which will be bifurcated in such way that if you are a part of premium program, the Microsoft one, the payment will be 10,000 rupees per month from your salary for 22 months, making it 2,20,000. But if you are a part of iconic IIT Guwahati program, the same thing applicable, 10,000 rupees per month from your salary for 15 months. As simple as that. Now, this is the career service fees and it is completely optional. So if you do not want to opt for our placement services, you can skip that. Then only tuition fees will be applicable. If you are getting placed through any referrals or through any community members or through the job board, which I showcased you on a dashboard under the guidance of your mentor, that are counted as external placements. So there are no placement charges associated with that. But if you are clearing the ABCAT test, entering into our placement service, taking the guidance and preparation from there, appearing for the interviews, getting aligned from there, and cracking it and joining the company from there, then only the placement charges are applicable, right? So I believe this thing was clear to you guys, right? Any further question, any further doubts, do let me know in the chat box. And I am sharing my personal number with you guys as well, so that you can text me up over my WhatsApp, and we can have a brief discussion there regarding the profile and your and the program details and everything, right? Just let me know if you guys have any kind of question or any kind of doubts. Accordingly, we will take this ahead. Or otherwise, we have reached the end of the session itself. We will be wrapping up very soon. Any questions, any doubt, guys? Yes, no, maybe. I have just attached my, mobile number over there in the chat box. You can text me any point of time after this session. Don't call me, I might be busy. Just text me over the WhatsApp, and accordingly we will discuss about the further things, the scholarship coupon codes and all this particular stuffs. Right now, if we will apply the scholarship coupon code, it will be not getting applied, because once we give the approval from our side, then on your profile it will be getting applied right away. So I believe there is no further question, no further doubts. All okay, great. So I've shared my personal number with you guys over the chat box. I have pinned it as well. Do save that number from my name, and do let me know over WhatsApp, or I will be connecting with you on a one-on-one basis after this session, once I will get the attendance records and everything. And accordingly, we're gonna discuss about the further possibilities going ahead. So we as a platform always look for success stories and looking for some more positive response and success stories from this audience as well. It was really great interacting with you guys. Sorry for my camera being off, because I'm facing some issues over here. That's why like my camera is not working out. Don't know why. I will be getting it checked out. So yeah, signing off for the day, guys. Have a wonderful day going ahead. Enjoy your weekend, and we will be connecting very soon, one on one. I will be reaching out to you guys. Okay. Have a wonderful day.